Here's your vocab preview for chemical reactions. First of all, a chemical reaction is when two different chemicals are combined and something new is made. So far in all of our experiments, we've not created anything new. Just being a mixture or just being a solution where something dissolves is not a chemical reaction because nothing new has been created. When we put salt in the water, we still just had salt and water. We didn't have anything else in that cup. In order for there to be a chemical reaction, there's several pieces of evidence that need to happen, and which we'll talk about with one of the next vocab words. In a chemical reaction, there have to be reactants and there have to be products. These are commonly confused words as well. Reactants are the chemicals that are reacting together. The product is what is produced in a chemical reaction. So for example, if you take vinegar and baking soda, which would be the reactants, and you combine them, you would get carbon dioxide, which would be the product. Well, another commonly confused set of words is a chemical change versus a physical change. Chemical changes are what is happening in a chemical reaction. Some of the pieces of evidence are that there is a temperature change, meaning that when the chemicals are combined, something gets hot or cold. There's a color change when you put two chemicals together and you see something like when a silver bike is left out in the rain and it gets rust. That is a chemical change. That rust is a different color than what was on your bike before. Gas can be formed. This would be an example of a gas being formed. And or anything burning is always a chemical change. And then one of the last pieces of evidence is that a precipitate is formed, and we'll talk about what a precipitate is in a little bit. A physical change, however, is a change of state, shape, or size. So when an ice cube melts, it goes from being a solid to a liquid, but it's still just water. It doesn't change what it actually is. Another commonly confused one is making Kool-Aid or any other drink. When you mix the Kool-Aid powder into the water, some people say, oh, that is a color change, it turned red. However, the Kool-Aid powder was red, so therefore it's going to make the water red. And really, the Kool-Aid powder just dissolves in the water. Nothing new is made. So that's what the difference between a chemical and physical change is. Like I said before, a precipitate is one of the words, or one of the pieces of evidence that a chemical change has happened. And a precipitate is a new solid material that has been formed in a chemical reaction. It's not the same as what a saturated solution looks like, but it's actually a new product that had been formed in a chemical reaction. And you'll actually see a precipitate being formed in one of the chemical reactions that we will do in our experiments.